Grant Lewis, the mastermind, and Alex Bennett, the hitman, just confessed to their parts in a gruesome murder-for-hire plot to kill Heidi Bernadzikowski. The question is, who hired them?
Did you meet the guy at some point?
At some point when I called Grant, he had told me that the client wanted to meet me at his house to discuss the plan of how everything would go down. I did meet with the person.
Investigators want to know, can Bennett identify the guy? He's shown photos of 6 men. Bennett narrows the 6 down to 2. Then he points to one.
I recognize him as the boyfriend.
Boyfriend? Yes. Bennett points the finger straight at Heidi's boyfriend, Stephen Cook, the same guy who cried like a baby when he called 911.
My girlfriend's been murdered.
Is there a weapon near her?
No. Are you sending somebody?
Yes, they're on the way, sir.
All right,
okay?
all right.
Now, I want you to stay with me.
No, I can't stay with you. I got to go with her.
We knew we weren't done. We knew there was more to this. The whole family knew that somewhere along the line, Stephen Cook had something to do with this. It wasn't a doubt in anybody's mind.
When I met the boyfriend, he's like, I'm gonna leave a key, and when I'm gonna drop her off when she comes in, you gotta make it look like she had an accident. It can't look like she was killed because of the insurance.
Remember, there were insurance policies Heidi and Cook took out on each other a couple of months before Heidi was murdered. Heidi's was for $700,000. Allegedly, Cook had promised $60,000 to Lewis and Bennett once the job was done, and Heidi was dead.
Did they ever get the money?
They never got a dime.
Grant Lewis is arrested for conspiracy to commit contract murder. Alexander Bennett takes a plea deal and agrees to testify against Lewis and Cook. In the years since Heidi's murder, Stephen Cook seemed to have moved on with his life. He got married, had a child, and was working for the government in Veterans Affairs. Cook also collected a small portion of that $700,000 insurance policy after a legal fight with Heidi's family.
10 minutes before he's supposed to testify, he gets his attorneys and they strike a plea deal. And he ends up taking about 20%. He didn't want to testify.
It was a small victory in court, but an earthquake was about to hit and Cook's world would crumble.
So that Stephen's arrested. And what was that day like for you?
We just followed him. He dropped his son off at the elementary school, and once he came out of the elementary school property, we arrested him.
That was it for him.
That was it for him.
Stephen Cook is charged with first-degree murder. His defense attorney, Tara Lecomte, says not so fast. The case may not be as open and shut as some would believe.
The first thing he said to me was, I did not do this, I had nothing to do with this.
Lecomte says besides Bennett's testimony, the prosecution's case was a circumstantial one. There was an alleged contract killing with no contract.
Was there any evidence at all to prove that this crime was orchestrated and coordinated over the internet?
No.
Not one shred of evidence?
No emails, no...
Nothing from a chat room?
No chat room, nothing.
Nothing printed?
No.
Not even a hard drive?
No.
Why is that?
The police didn't take that computer that day.
The lack of a paper trail was one, I think, of the most difficult things to do in prosecuting this case. Their computer was sitting on a table and they didn't actually look at it. It wasn't part of normal police procedure back then to conduct investigation into a computer, and I mean, nowadays that would probably be one of the first things they'd do.
As both sides prepare for trial, Cook allegedly tries to pull off a repeat performance, this time from behind bars.
Stephen really takes this to another level. And while he was behind bars, he did something. What happened?
While awaiting trial, Stephen met a cellmate, began to talk to him, and ultimately asked him to have Grant Lewis, who was also in the same facility, to have him whacked.
And whatever happened, was he charged?
That cellmate was very helpful. He agreed to wear a wire in jail, and we were able to record Stephen talking about having Grant whacked. So we charged him with witness intimidation and attempted murder. That seems to be how Stephen Cook solves problems.
1 year after Cook's arrest, the case goes to trial. The star witness for the prosecution, Alex Bennett. But there's more. Heidi's friends testify her relationship with Cook was not the blissful one he described.
She was thinking about leaving him. She had taken steps such as borrowing money from a friend to rent out a storage facility to take that next step to move out.
The crux of the defense's case? Heidi brought this on herself. Cook's attorneys allege she had been looking for love online when she met Alex Bennett. He traveled from Colorado to Maryland to be with her, and when he showed up at her door, she rejected him, so he killed her.
So you believe they met over the internet?
On a chat room, this man is professing his love for her. An unrequited love made the most sense out of everything.
The defense said Bennett traveled to Maryland to meet Heidi, and she rejected him, and that was ultimately why she was murdered.
There was no evidence, in fact, to support that.
In a bold move, Stephen Cook takes the stand in his own defense. Cameras are not allowed in the courtroom, but Cook's testimony is audio taped. Cook says he's surprised to hear other accounts of his relationship with Heidi.
Mr. Cook, you keep saying that you and Heidi were going to get married, but we've heard from other individuals that she was thinking about leaving you.
I've never heard anything like that until now.
Cook then explains how the large insurance policies came to be.
We were going to start a family, we were going to have children, and I wanted to make sure that there was enough money for Heidi in case I died. Heidi then asked me if it was all right if she could get $700,000 worth of life insurance, and I said fine.
Then LeCompte asks point blank if Cook had Heidi killed.
Now, Steve, you've heard through testimony that you arranged for Heidi's murder via the internet. Did you do that?
Not at all. Not at all. I didn't have anything at all to do with Heidi's murder.
Why are you testifying?
I'm testifying because I want my family and friends, and I want Heidi's family and friends to know the truth.
The case goes to the jury. They deliberate a day and a half.
The jury came back with the verdict the moment before it was announced. What were you feeling?
I was scared. I'm not gonna lie to you. Truly, it felt like it was life's work for me, and this guy's been haunting me forever. So the jury came in. The head juror spoke very quietly. So I had my head down, and he gives the verdict.
I didn't go.
And I looked over at my wife, and I said, "What did he say?" Because I couldn't tell what he said. She said, "Guilty." I was like, "Oh, yeah."
Guilty of first-degree murder and guilty of witness intimidation and attempted murder. It was the news so many had waited so long to hear.
What was that moment like for you and for your family?
Such a relief.
He stole your sister's life all for nothing because he didn't get the big payout. He didn't even pay the people.
There's no explaining sociopaths.
Alexander Bennett, as part of his plea deal, was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Grant Lewis was found guilty and was sentenced to life in prison. And Stephen Cook got life without the possibility of parole. Plus another 30 years for trying to have Grant Lewis killed.
You believe you did everything you could to defend him?
Absolutely. I think he got a fair trial.
But Cook's sister Kim told Crime Watch Daily her brother has been wrongfully accused, and evidence left out at a trial would have proved that.
His sister believes he's 100% innocent.
Any sister would. She doesn't see him that way, but that's the way he is.
For Detective Childs and Sergeant Meyer, they're happy they've helped bring closure after so much time to Heidi's loving family.
We'll never forget Heidi. She'll always be a part of our lives, and she's there with us no matter what or where we are.
Oh, it's one of these cases I'll never forget. I think Al did a great job.
Dropped her off to her own death and drove away. They're tough cases, and I never gave up.
This case is a real testament to hard police work and dogged pursuit of justice, and we got it.
Cook continues to maintain his innocence in Heidi's murder. At sentencing, Circuit Judge Jan Marshall Alexander told Cook he had no doubts about the jury's decision, calling the murder, quote, one of the most cold-blooded, heartless, manipulative, despicable crimes that I have seen in almost 30 years of law. I'm Chris Hansen. If you like this story, make sure you tune in every day to Crime Watch Daily. You can find where the show airs in your city at crimewatchdaily.com. Watch it live or record it on your DVR and watch it at night. And to all those criminals out there, remember, we are watching.